We got hards on. We're going to the end.
Like 10% of the time, F1 is amazing every time. That's right, we go from one end of the spectrum, Monaco, which I defended with my life last week, and I stand by it. But obviously, I can admit, pretty diabolical time when you go to Monaco. You know what I mean? That being said, right? I think it serves its purpose. We're not doing that again. We're not going to do that again. But we go from Monaco, what everyone hated and sort of had them sort of have it shaking their fists in the sky like a sort of angry OAP neighbor, right? We go from that to, Canada. Canada, oh Canada. Is that their anthem? You know? If it is, then I'm singing it because my fist was in the air this time. It was in jubilation. My oh my, qualifying and race, just together as a package and individually, best we've had so far this season. I don't remember all of the races we've had prior to this. I think we had 8 different ones prior to this one. Don't really remember all of them, so maybe there was one that was better, but I don't think so. Quali was great, big surprises. The freaking race was great. Weather, I think the weather was interesting in the perfect way as well. Like it wasn't just like sometimes you get fun weather, but it's just the whole race is in rain, torrential rain, and then you get a huge red flag that delays the race for like 40 minutes, and then you got to finish under a safety car, and we're just begging to get some racing laps in, and the whole thing's delayed. This was good weather, the kind of weather you want. Um, hard time we got hard time going to the end. Didn't say that, so I'll say that now. But let me get up quality here because I do rate my quality. We do the race rundown and then soft, medium, hard. Also, is the 3 sectors. And let me tell you, we're going to be purple in all 3 today because my oh my, it was a good one. And what I want to say as well, as a guy who backs not like I back a lot of drivers, but my main guys that have kind of emerged because I've only been watching the sport maybe like 3 years. So the people that have emerged and really became my guys. Like I need these people to do well. Is Ricardo, is Norris, and is Hamilton, and it could have been a little better considering those the people are back. But bearing in mind now that you know that you just heard that, think about how bad some of the races this year have been for me. Considering those are my 3 guys, I've had multiple races where minimum 2 of those people have really underperformed for me. So I will take this. Now I would have preferred it tenfold if Hamilton finished third and not Russell. But look, beggars can't be choosers. Beggars can't be choosers. And yeah, this quality is getting a 10 out of 10. I just think it had it. And I think I deserved it. I think I deserved it. We've had some. To be honest, actually, this season's actually been pretty amazing. It's been pretty amazing. We've had how many different race winners? Let me check. We've had 4 different race winners, 3 different pole sitters. Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris all won a race. Norris could have won a second one today if maybe strategy went a little bit differently. Luck went a little bit differently for him this time. Yeah, no, it's still catchable. Like technically, anyone could still win. I'm not. I'm saying that like we've got 3 races left, and it's just about mathematically possible. No, sorry. Let me say that again. I think it's fair enough to say Norris is in a title fight out of nowhere. He kind of is. He kind of is. I don't know how far off he is. I know he's technically in third, but I think for the most part, I think McLarens are stronger across more tracks than Ferraris. Because I know Leclerc is actually second right now. Can I find the actual standings? Let me type in F1 standings. That should bring it up. But I think Norris, technically Leclerc as well, I guess, they're in title fights. I mean, and like Norris is like 50 points off Verstappen, and Leclerc's like 30. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Leclerc's had 5 podiums as well. He's actually I didn't know that. But yeah, all fine. All 3 of them. All 3 of them in a proper title fight, a 3-way fight this year, and it's been a slow boil, and it snuck up on us, and that's kind of nice. And this is the season with the most races we've ever had. Right, 24. We're about 9 in. There's so much more still to play for, and it's probably going to end with Verstappen winning it, and probably quite comfortably. But like, I think it just feels so good because so people were just going into this defeated. This is going to be even more dominant than last year. Verstappen's going to finish races, a full 4 minutes before second place, which still won't be Perez. But we'll get to Perez. But yeah, I got to give this quali a 10. Simply because, I mean, first of all, Verstappen wasn't on pole. That's the first criteria, which maybe, considering things are getting a little bit more competitive now, no longer needs to be a criteria anymore. Because for a long time, if you didn't know, which is probably quite likely, when I'm ranking qualies, if Verstappen's on pole for the longest time, I'm like, well, it can't be a 10 then because Verstappen's on pole. But that was under the circumstances that he was on pole every week and he would win a race every week. So I'm like, you can't have a good quality if Verstappen's on pole because it's the same old shit at the sharp end of it. But now if we're going to start trading things around, we might be looking at a future very soon where you can have a 10 out of 10 quality for Verstappen on pole. We're still not there yet, but we're getting close. Yeah, so what did we have? We had Perez going out in Q1. Yikes. Let's get into the Perez thing. Sergio, we put our faith in you. You know, and how does he repay that faith? Q1 knockout hat trick. He's a hat trick hero. Hat trick 0. This is not the type of hat trick you'll want. I don't know. I can't remember. Did he act? I think he went out Q1 last week. Did he actually go Q1 the week before that? Or are they just saying he's had 3 Q1, you know, go outs this whole season? I can't remember what it is. Either way, these aren't Pokemon you want to be collecting, Perez. Another crazy stat, which is although Sargent has been out qualified by his actual teammate, Alex Albon, about 30 times, he's managed to out-qualify Perez 6 times. Perez obviously being in the Red Bull. Which kind of makes you think that if... Now, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if Perez was in a Williams against Sargent, would it actually be quite close? Like, I don't know. He would, you know, ram Sargent like anyone else. But what I'm saying is, what do you reckon the qualifying head-to-head would be? I mean, he's out-qualified him 6 times technically. And, you know, Perez is in, like, got a bullet bill power-up and he's still losing to this, you know, random such. So if they was in the same machinery, no sort of... Look, I'm not saying he's going to beat him, but what could it be like? At least 6, right? So he's, you know, just crazy. And I foresaw this, like a lot of people did, that Perez wouldn't have a great season. But I think a lot of people kind of went, oh, he was all wrong, just because he started well. He started like how he kind of should just always be, being in that, you know, up and around it. But I just thought, when it goes bad, it will go bad and it will stay bad, because we saw it from last season. Who's to say that if he has a bit of a bad run, he'll just be able to shake off and get out of it and be in a better headspace? For what reason? We haven't seen that he can do that in this Red Bull situation. It's a seat that chews people out and spits them up or whatever. Sorry, the other way around. But, you know, it chews people up and spits them out. That's the one. Shits them out, if anything, because you get left in a bad way. But you can bounce back from it. Look, it hasn't defined Gasly. It hasn't defined Albon. And Perez is obviously a good driver as well. But I do just think, and look, he didn't have a great weekend. Well, we didn't have a great end to his race either. But Yuki Tsunoda, you know, they've had a kid before. They've had another kid, didn't go well. And they're like, no, we're not taking Yuki, and he's loud. Or whatever. I don't know what, he just doesn't fit into that family for whatever reason. He doesn't ever get to sit at the adult table. Like, Yuki, everyone's like, no, he's a kid. He has to sit at the kids' table. Not enough space is up here with us. But really, like, his knees are up by his chin now, and he's actually like a full-grown man. And it's like, I'm still sitting at the kids' table with my younger cousins. It's like, no, I need to be moving on up now. It's like, look at me for what I am. And I think he does deserve it. I think I deserve it, you know, type thing. It was a great quality. That's just made me want to comment to something else, which is Villeneuve, who, look, like I've said it before, I've only been watching this sport for a few years, so I don't even know who Villeneuve is. Apparently he was a decent driver with a better career than Ricciardo. So those are things I want to preface straight out the gate, because I know people are going to say that. Now I want to say is, I don't care who the fuck you are, and I don't care how good of a career you have. You can still have a shit take. And in my opinion, it's a shit take. It's someone coming out. I feel like sometimes people step on to sort of do media duties, sort of punditry roles, and they get a kick out of just saying the edgy thing, being harsh, because all you guys are too scared to say it, and I'm going to step on and actually say what everyone's thinking. And there's some truth to the extent what he's saying. Ricciardo is in the, well, not maybe in the sport, but maybe had some of the opportunities still, or is thought of in such a high way, makes so much money that he does still, because of the face, because of the brand. Yes, we know that. We know that Red Bull really favor Ricardo because he's a great brand and because they just really get on with him and stuff like that. We know that goes on. But like that goes for anyone. You do well, you get credit in the bank, it helps you further down the line. It's pretty normal. And I just think, yeah, guess what? When you watch F1, there's people in F1 who maybe aren't the best 20 in the world, but they're in there. And I think it's weird to be like, who I needs to make a big point about for not deserving to have a seat and just be, why is no one talking about this, is Daniel Ricciardo, and not some of the, the pay drivers who are in this 20, the people who are literally in here because they've paid for their seat. Ricciardo, you're saying, shouldn't be here because he's just living off past glories. At least there's past glories. There's credit in the bank. These guys are just using bank. They're just here of money. There's a guy in the sport who is literally here because his dad owns the team, and we never talk about it. But Ricciardo's the one, and Ricciardo simply is the one because that's the better headline, because that's the edgier take, and that's the one that gets someone on Twitter going, "Oh, actually, no, he's the one who's not afraid to say it how it is." How it is that you can look at his career, and if you don't like Ricciardo, you can chop it up in a bad way, and if you do like him, you can chop up in a good way. The bad way is, like he said, he beat an aging Vettel or something in a young Verstappen, and that's it. The good way is he's a multiple-time race winner, who, was a young Verstappen, was a Seb Vettel, but both soon to be with Verstappen and was with Vettel, champions, right? Didn't have a bad time at Renault. I don't know why we always pretend that he did beat Hulkenberg, who is competent. He's not, but he's competent, right? And you could look at it and actually look at his career and go, realistically, he had bad years with McLaren, and everywhere else he's actually been pretty good, all right. The argument could be he's not one of these insane level guys. We actually should think of him more as sort of a mid-level guy. But to be acting like, why does he even be in the sport? He should be retired by now. He should be out, but he doesn't deserve to be here. Especially when there's other people in this current 20 as well that are glaringly obvious that you're not talking about. I just find that weird. And even in his depths of hell, still got a win, a race win in the McLaren. Still can give that to you. And yeah, he's been inconsistent so far. And people look at it like, oh, you're getting beat by Yuki. But again, this is being a huge blemish on Daniel, when it's like people just never want to give credit to Yuki. No, Yuki's just really good now. Like, he actually has overcome a lot of stuff. He's not the Yuki of 2-3 years ago. People still have that in his mind. He's really good. And like, yeah, Daniel's been inconsistent, but when he has been good, which I think he's been good at China, I think he was good at Miami, I think he's been good here. He's not been so disastrous where I think we need to really be talking. Apart from the fact that Lawson's sitting in the wings, like, I don't think there actually needs to be much pressure on Daniel. Like, he's having a real shit time. Think started a bit slow, a little bit inconsistent. But it's a long season, and relax. Daniel heard it, said he didn't really hear it until just now, this and that. So he doesn't take it seriously, says he's not going to get time of the day. What he did say, though, is eat shit. And let me just tell you right now, that's half of the reason why I watch this sport. Because, like, you just don't get that in football. And football is still by far my favourite sport. But just, like, the whole flips on its head nature that you get with Formula 1 that makes it so different from other sports. Or at least, like, maybe other English sports, where it's just like, you don't get that. And it's what's kind of turned me away from tennis a lot. It's like, you'll see someone lose a point and then be like, fuck, or like smash their tennis racket or something. Or like, I remember this girl like didn't shake someone's hand at the end and she got killed by tennis Twitter or whatever. And it's like, oh, this sport is just so like sanitized, and any little thing is viewed as like really sportsmanlike, whichever the word is, right? And really this and that because of tradition, and it's just like, ugh, it just that put me off it. Challengers put me back on, but that was, that was a lot more saucy, and I feel like real life, the example of real life tennis, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, yeah. And this is part of the reason why I like Daniel Ricciardo. He's box office. And like, that's on and off track. And for a lot recently, yeah, maybe it's been more off track, but he makes me feel something. And when he does well, I feel something. And I've said this multiple times. When Paris does well, I'm not moved, When Daniel does well, he's got his fucking movie quotes ready that he's rattling off, People thought I left, I never left. Like, he's banging the chest, he's the honey badger. He owns these streets, even though he hasn't owned these Monaco streets in years, but he still runs with that. Fuck them all, and it can become cringe at times when you're really like in the mud and you still got fuck them all on your helmet. And you're throwing up the V's, but like you're constantly finishing 15th. But like with this, the fact that he instantly got to like silence a critic the same weekend, and people jokingly talking about, oh, they should have Villeneuve around more races because it does well for Daniel. That's fine. People joking like, oh, he should thank him because he's really pulled out of the bag. That's fine. But the people like on Twitter who are genuinely being like, Daniel actually needs to go up and thank Villeneuve for giving him motivation. It's like, that's just bullshit. If someone chats shit about you and then you then do well, you don't owe that. If it's like your manager and they're managing you, then sure. But like I was about to say some random guy, which is about to get me flamed. But you know what I mean? But like some guys like chat shit about you. Like if I go to a race and I'm like, you know, Usain Bolt, you're a slow twat, and then he wins. He doesn't have to come up to me and thank me for the motivation. You know what I mean? That's a bit different because but you get the point. Anyway, though, I had to go in there on that because I just felt like it was like a take that. The first problem with it for me was that it was like a take that was harsh. I don't even think it was really necessary or that true. Everyone said it was kind of running with it like it was just straight up true, just because they liked hearing someone be harsh and just because people just liked that, they find it refreshing, so they was running with it. And I like Ricardo, and he had a good weekend. And he didn't really do anything wrong, and he almost had another weekend, but he would end up finishing the race behind Tsunoda, not getting any points, just by the way things went for him. I think he pitted once, no, he pitted twice, and he had to pit once. But then things did swing back around for him. Tsunoda did spin. A couple of drivers crashed. He managed to get back up there, but like he got that like penalty for a false, like how do you say it? A false. How do you say it? A false start. Yeah, a false start. It was a false call on the false start. I watched it. Maybe I'm missing something, but like, if anything, he started badly and he got jumped and he was pretty slow out of the blocks or whatever, which he usually is. He always loses places on the start. But yeah, so he had that go against him, and then the weather didn't help him at the time, and then just this and that, but did well, finished in P8, couple overtakes, qualified P5. What's that, 4 points if you're P8, I think? Decent, I'll take it. And it means nothing. Anyway, anything else in quali happened that was interesting? No, that was all the quality stuff. Into the race, again, starting on Inters, so it was like due to be an exciting time. The Hasses, when like they was all partying in the front. It's meant to be business in the front, party in the back. That was like party in the front. There wasn't. Don't turn around. You don't want to see the back. You know, they popped on like an off-market back road Viagra, and they were like going hard in the front end. The back nine not so much, but it was kind of just like, let's like look to do. And I don't get why they put both drivers on that strategy. Like, surely you would do it with one and then hang out one out of the other. I don't know if it massively benefited them or didn't benefit them or whatever. It was just like, I don't know, the Hasses were just like really going for it. It's like they just wanted to feel something. To me, though, I don't know. It didn't quite work out for them, but that's that side. And at least it added another angle to the start of the race, which was also fun. I mean, Perez. So he qualifies P16. This guy who's really been struggling. I don't really know what to say for him. But he's got himself a contract extension, so at least he secured the bag in that way. And you ain't, those don't mean anything really. You can still sack him if you want to get someone else in, but they won't, and they didn't. And so at least he's got another year out of it. And yeah, man, even in the race, I think he got damaged at some point as well. I can't remember if that was through another. Oh yeah, he made contact with Gasly, I think. But yeah, just didn't really move from P16. Where did he finish the actual race? He finished in. Did he finish? What I have here is he's not in the top 10 and he's not in the top 15. So unless he was I mean, he's P5 in the standings right now. He's got a Ferrari, a McLaren and a Ferrari ahead of him. and his teammates first. Race result. Let's see if we can find where he finished. Did he DNF? He DNF'd. I don't remember why he DNF'd though. Is that like they retired? I think he must have spun again or crashed again. I just don't remember it. Because so many people crashed. You got to understand. So many people were spinning out. Oh, wait, yeah. He span. He went offline into the wet for some reason on slicks. And then he hit his back wing into the wall. You can't defend that. Even the die-hardest of fans could maybe defend maybe a poor qualifying or getting damage of a car not being to go forward in the race. But the second thing, I just don't think you can really defend it. He had Sainz spin this race. So that smacked into Albon, which is a shame for Albon because he had a sick, like, that's how I drive on like the F1 game. How Albon like overtook those two cars, like went behind the other one and then cut in front of Ricardo and then broke on the inside of Ocon and then did it through the chicane. That's what I'll do on the F1 game, but that's because I'm playing on 50 difficulty, just so I feel like I'm literally like Max Verstappen or whatever. So I feel like I'm the dog's bollocks. I got it set. I'm doing like 4 overtakes into a corner. I think I'm the man, right? Albon did that, and he was going up there. He had great pace in that Williams, but yeah, he did get taken out by Sainz, and honestly, I needed it just for Ricardo. Like, Tsunoda had like a unlike him. If we're being honest, this is the thing. In everyone else's head in the sport, that was that's so like Tsunoda. No, that's unlike him. He's been so consistent recently. Get it flipped in your brain. But I just kind of really needed that. Again, I like Tsunoda, but it's like I'm rooting for Daniel, and I kind of just felt like he deserved it this weekend. You get what you deserve, I guess. But yeah, I needed it. I needed it. As simple as that. But yeah, Perez not looking good, bruv. Anything else? I mean, it was like a great race, but like I somehow found more things to talk about with Monaco. I don't know why. But maybe it's just because so much stuff happened. I mean, Russell got third. It was a good overtake. Like when we get to soft medium hard I still haven't really decided definitely yet what I want to give it, but like Russell got pole, and I'm struggling to think if he had a really good race or not, because like on one hand he gets pole and he does a great overtake on Hamilton towards the end to get back in the podium, but then I'm also like, but he put himself in his position and he really realistically could have got a race win, but he made mistakes, I feel like, in the race where like and so did Norris, and so did even Verstappen, who won it, going off at like that turn 1 or whatever it is, right? But like the fact that you started on pole, and I know weather and stuff and safety cars bring people together, but you was on pole and Hamilton was 7th. And the fact that you even got yourself in this position, you got overtaken by the McLarens at points and this and that. And I can't remember all the reasons for this and this. And maybe it's just biased because I like Hamilton, but I'm just sort of like with Russell. I don't know. And I feel like he really rates himself this season, and he really rates himself in general, even probably from his first season. But I think it's just because like the reason I want Hamilton just to clock Russell so bad is mainly because I just feel like the team is so obviously, I feel like, weighted towards Russell right now because they know Hamilton's going. And I'm not got a conspiracy hat on saying they're like giving Russell everything and Hamilton nothing. But I do feel like there is like a weird energy that I can't really explain, that no one's talking about. When I say no one, I don't mean people on Twitter. I mean like people, the drivers and the principals. Like there's this weird tension, and there's this weird unspoken thing that people aren't saying. And usually when there's an unspoken thing, it says there's a little love affair. It's like, oh, there's this little unspoken thing. Now, this unspoken thing is far more sour, right? And I don't know what it is. And something's going on there. But like outside of that, I mean, you had George Russell sitting on a lie detector saying he believes he's faster and is the better driver than Lewis Hamilton. And he said that, right, after what was a more competitive season than this one has been so far. And he was already confident enough to say, I'm better than Lewis. He then goes on to have a season where he gets absolutely spanked by Lewis, right? Proving for that just not to be true. But he believes it is the point. So God knows what he thinks at this point in the season now, considering how much he's beaten Lewis in qualifying and races, I guess. So I really am just sort of pulling for Hamilton because people are calling him washed. And that's just sport for you in general. That's not even F1. That's just sport in general. That's how quick it is, fickle it is. But yeah, labelled washed is crazy. I mean, he hasn't had a win in forever. He hasn't had a podium this season. But I think the only world in which you can call Hamilton washed is if he goes to Ferrari and tanks bad. Yeah. And to be honest, again, this was, I think, the 9th race. It's a 24 race season. And I believe Russell, I mean, this is a lot stronger, but I think Russell also got a better start than Hamilton last season as well. And I just think it's an improvement this race. He finished just behind Russell. I mean, arguably, if you give it another lap, maybe Hamilton overtakes Russell, but easily Russell's also just behind Norris. Maybe Russell gets P2, so it's hard to say. But yeah, man. I would rather like Hamilton finished P6, but Russell was P8. Then Hamilton finished P2, but Hamilton finished P3, but Russell was P2. Just because, like, it's similar to like other drivers. I like Russell. I enjoy having Russell. Russell's fun. Russell is good entertainment. I like Russell a lot. He just happens to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate, who I massively back. And it's as simple as that. Some people just take that to the nth degree on Twitter and now therefore hate Russell and think he's just an absolute dick. And, you know, but like, that's what loyalty and, you know, being a fan will do for you. I don't really know what this is about, but I saw Ocon crying like an absolute little worm. And I don't understand Ocon. Like, I get being pissed at the team you're around, but like, you're known for having a bad relationship with your teammates. You're known for crashing with your teammates a lot. At Monaco, he crashed with his teammate on lap 1. They fucking hated it. They was fuming. They then go on to say, "Yeah, mate, you're done, mate. You're not driving with us next year." But they don't pull it out as Ocon's been sacked. They pull it out as we've agreed to just part ways. We just, you know, it's all cordial. He puts out like this huge statement like, "My whole character is fucking defamation. I'm taking you to court." You know, he's been ridiculous. He puts out a statement where he's basically like, "Look, I understand I crash sometimes, but you gotta understand, I'm in the heat of the moment. I love the sport, this and that. I want to remain to try my best for this team. I love this team or whatever. I want to be professional." Okay, weird, sure. People basically, I don't know if this is that crazy to you, Ocon, but people say you crash your teammate a lot because you crash with your teammate a lot. Anyway, we come into this race and he finishes P10, he gets a point. And by the way, an Alpine that looked like it would be 19 or 20 a full season, they've actually kind of turned around decently. They both didn't qualify too high, but they both went up about 6 positions. And yeah, he gets a point, and Gasly just in front gets 2 points. Jumps on the radio. Don't know, I don't have it up here exactly what he said. Maybe I can find it on Twitter actually. Because I want to get it right. But like, yeah, and also I think my main issue with this is, I might be wrong because I don't actually know what specifically he's complaining about. But to me, it just feels all void because it feels like you're complaining because you're behind Gasly. And I feel like if Gasly wasn't the driver directly in front of you, you wouldn't give a shit. Which kind of just like, yeah, voids so much of whatever he's saying. There might be more outside of it that I don't know about not being pit or being put on a shit strategy and this and that. But let me find what he said. Please tell me I liked it so I can like go back to it. He ends the race and he goes, "Amazing, amazing, amazing. No comment. I've done what I had to do, which is the most important. But you guys didn't do what you had to do. Thanks for supporting me." Obviously, when he's going, "Amazing, amazing, amazing," that's sarcasm. When he's going, "Thanks for supporting me," that's sarcasm again. He was pissed about something and just being a little whiny baby. So, you know, like a couple days ago when you said you're going to still try your best for the team and just be cordial and stuff and get it done for the final season for the team. You still got a point from like P16 wherever he started. Your teammate got 2 just in front of you, and I felt like it was a way around. He wouldn't give a fuck. And also, you're meant to be putting yourself in a shop window. What are you crying for on the radio? Was it that deep? Like, how big could the issue have been? You're in an Alpine. Was it really that defining? Do you think you would have finished like P6? Like, how far up ahead do you think you really would have been in your machinery? Like, think about where he was like a few weeks. I don't know. I don't really get what was the huge deal. It says here, Alpine gave Ocon team orders to let Gasly by. So, I guess that's what he's pissed off about. Like, what is the big deal? So to me, this tells me they thought Gasly was faster, and Gasly only ended up finishing 1 place ahead of him. I guess Gasly didn't go forward to overtake Ricciardo or anyone. So if that's what it's about. But if that's the case, you're literally annoyed because Gasly's ahead of you. And yeah, Sonoda was annoyed in the exact same way at the beginning of the season when he had to let Ricciardo go ahead, and this wasn't even 4 points, and Ricciardo didn't end up overtaking, and that caused Yuki to dive bomb him even after the race was done. So I get it, it's not just Ocon, because people have this thing where, if they love him, people are going to think it's an agenda type thing. But I said Yuki was crazy in that moment for, whatever. But this is just like, thanks for supporting me, guys. This and that. Oh, so why are you being fucking passive aggressive and whining and stuff? It's like, Gasly had the better weekend. He outqualified you. He honestly drove a better race, I feel like. He probably was quicker. Yeah, sure, not quick enough to go any further up. But just like, you're being a little bitch, basically, because it looks worse on you because Gasly got an extra point or two than you, and you wanted, like, it's just like, and it's this, and as like the team principal, you're in your head, you're just thinking, what? Shut the fuck. Like, you're thinking for us, it's the same amount of points. Whether you're 9th and he's 10th, or he's 9th and you're 10th, we got the same. We don't give a fuck. Like, that's what they're thinking. Like, we can't wait for the season to be over type thing. After they've just sacked you, so you already know they hate you, and then on top of that, you're just like giving them even more of a reason. Not that he'll care, but I just think it's whatever. Is there anything else? We'll do soft, medium, hards, I think. I mean, is there anything else that happened? I mean, look, Leclerc misery, but I kind of like Leclerc's energy on the radio recently. I remember a specific point. He was like, "Yo, how much time am I losing on the straights?" And they're like, "A lot, buddy." And he's like, "No, cut that. Don't like that." He's like, "Don't like the answer. How much time am I losing on the straights?" And they're like, "About 5 temps." Bang. Kind of like this kind of energy. Also saw an interview earlier. He was like reading the notes he has to give, and he's like, "I'm gonna say what I want." I kind of like this kind of like top dog energy he has. And now that he's comfortably been finishing ahead of Sainz again, that'll do it for you. Sainz, by the way, I don't know what his excuse was. I mean, Leclerc had some kind of engine issue, tried a bunch of different tyres and just to get anything to work. I don't know what Sainz's excuse was for just being so slow in the race. Because Leclerc was still ahead of him, wasn't he? Or maybe not, but I don't know. But I just feel like Leclerc had a reason and Sainz didn't, and Sainz spins out anyway. Sainz kind of going on to fraud watch. I don't think that's fair. Sainz ain't going on fraud watch yet. Especially after I called people fickle for saying Hamilton's washed and this and that and Ricciardo and this and that, to immediately put Sainz on fraud watch for a bad weekend. But, it's jokes. It's all good. On to Catalonia. That's the next one. I remember it being actually half decent, or they changed the final corner and that kind of helps a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be the worst race in the world. A lot of people I know a lot of people say Canada's their favourite race. And I watched Canada today and I'm like, because I literally went into the race going, "Go on then, Canada." People say this is their favourite race. Prove it. And then immediately I was just like, oh, shit, okay, fair enough. And I know a lot of people say Catalonia's not great for overtaking, but they tried to improve it. Anyway, we'll just see how it goes. We got odds on we're going to the end. And I'll see you for the next one. Catalonia. Thanks.